morning. We'll go ahead and call the Yuma County Board of Supervisors, also sitting as all special taxing district, uh, September 16, 2024, 9 a.m. to order. Can we please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? Supervisor Lyons, can you lead us?
Please join me in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Move on to call to the public. Call to the public is held for public benefit to allow individuals to address issues within the board's jurisdiction. Board members may not discuss items that are not specifically identified on the agenda. Therefore, pursuant to Arizona Revised Statute 38-431.01, action taken as a result of public comment will be limited to directing staff to study the matter, responding to criticism, or scheduling the matter for further discussion and decision at a future date. Public comments may be made in person or submitted by email at publiccommentsumacountυaz.gov. The emails forms of public comments will be accepted until 8 a.m. the morning of the meeting. All public comments will be read out loud during the Yuma County Board of Supervisors meeting that starts at 9 a.m. Desiree, do we have any emails? No. I do have a speaker form. Gail Castricone.
Meeting met on September 3rd. There were 19 people present. Our guest speaker was Jesus Ramirez from the Planning and Zoning Division. Most of the meeting was about opening up of 4th Street for the new housing development being built off of Vaughn Avenue. As a courtesy from the county, it would have been a good idea to have a town hall meeting for the residents of 4th Street. It is not that they are against the new housing development, but they all need to know what the infrastructure of 4th Street would be. Are there going to be sidewalks, lighting, speed limit signs? All of these are legitimate concerns. 4th Street is an extremely narrow street. Since it has always been a dead end, children are used to playing by the road. With the new influx of traffic, that will not be possible anymore. I am very proud of the residents of 4th Street. They are very supportive of one another and are an example of what a neighborhood should look like. Here are some of their comments. Leanne said she has lived on 4th Street for 35 years, and she knows that they have to advocate for themselves, and she is frustrated. She said they get passed around the county, and she always hears, "It's not my job." No one has answers or only have partial answers. A gentleman named Michael said he works with at-risk teens, and they call 5th Street and Vaughn Murderville. He said to make sure your kids know. He said that 4th Street is his family street. He noted that it doesn't have sufficient lighting. When people are wanting to do something bad, they think of 5th Street and Vaughn. They use apps to communicate to each other. It's scary because you are opening up developing to this problem. One homeowner noted that he had reported banned trailer park many times and that a guy was killed in his very backyard. He said the biggest issue is that people need to report. He told the sheriff where to find drugs. It's sad that after all of these years, we continue to struggle with the same problems. There are some wonderful staff on board, and they do hard work. That's why I took 2 stuffed cookies from the Cookie Rookies to Jesus on Wednesday as I was handing him 2 more complaint forms. We need to find solutions instead of excuses. God bless you, and God bless America.
Thank you, Gail. Anybody else from the public that wishes to address the board? Seeing none, I'll go ahead and move on to presentations, proclamations, and appointments. Any appointments from the board? And I got 2 items on presentations, and I'm gonna go ahead and do number 2 first. Chairman proclaims September 25th, 2024 to be Day of Remembrance for Murder Victims in Yuma County. And we have a lot of people.
Good morning, Chairman Porchas and members of the board. Eva Salazar. I am the chairperson of the Victims' Rights Committee and also the Director of Victim Services with the County Attorney's Office. I'm happy to accept this proclamation on behalf of all members of the Victims' Rights Committee. This year, we are hosting the 11th Annual National Day of Remembrance for Murdered Victims, vigil on September 25th at the Yuma County Main Library. The purpose is to honor the memories of murdered victims in our community and across the country and recognize the impact on surviving family members, loved ones, and friends. We appreciate your support to highlighting the importance of remembering the victims who have been murdered and their families, and to support programs that help those who have been devastated through these violent tragedies.
Thank you, Eva. And Supervisor Pancrase will read the proclamation.
Proclaiming the day of September 25th, 2024 as Day of Remembrance for Murder Victims. Whereas the death of a murdered loved one is a difficult experience that robs immediate and extended family members and creates overwhelming challenges to fill the void that their absence creates. And whereas the friends and families of murder victims cope with grief through a variety of support services, including counseling, crisis intervention, professional referrals, and assistance in dealing with the criminal justice system. And whereas the County of Yuma joins with the Yuma County Victims' Rights Committee, as well as victim service programs, criminal justice officials, and concerned citizens throughout the county to remember the anguish caused by homicide, to honor the courage of survivors, and to strive to help the survivors rebuild their lives. Now, therefore, the Yuma County Board of Supervisors proclaims the day of September 24th, 2024 as Day of Remembrance for Murder Victims in Yuma County, and encourage all citizens of Yuma County to join me in remembering the victims who have been murdered and their families, and to support programs that help those who have been devastated through these violent tragedies.
All right, do we want to?
Get a picture? Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank
So
you,
at this
Eva.
time, I would like to
Oh, invite them.
Yes, please.
Bring 'em up.
I don't know if y'all gonna fit.
How many-
Go stay in the back.
How many do you have?
How many people?
How many people are coming? See, there's a lot of people. We might as well stay in the back. Or no, is this it?
Oh, well,
There's only a handful.
I didn't see Tori slip. I didn't see any.
Yeah, really? Mr. Humphries?
Tony, where's my wallet? It's actually the right guy. This is the reason nothing stays in Vegas.
I left my wallet in the car today, sorry.
I know.
Oh, no, it's right here. I still got my wallet even after Tony came over.
Me agarré la cartera porque
Move on to go back and do item number 1. Chairman proclaims the month of September 2024 to be Fall Prevention Month in Yuma County, and I'll have Supervisor Reyes to read the proclamation. Please don't fall.
I'm still
That's
trying to
kinda
figure out
fitting.
why it got to me. Is it because I'm over 65 or?
I was gonna say, it's kind of
Okay,
fitting.
falls. Okay, well, I'm gonna read it, but I'm not taking responsibility for this. Yuma County Fall Prevention Month. Whereas falls impact people of all ages in Arizona, resulting in personal and financial toll that disproportionately affect Arizona's age 65 and older and the healthcare systems. And whereas it is estimated that 1/4 of people 65 and older will fall each year. And whereas Yuma County ranks 12th, respectively in age-adjusted unintentional fall rate of hospitalization by county in Arizona. And whereas falls are the leading cause of injury-related deaths among Arizona residents 65 and older, and whereas falling is not an inevitable result of aging, and whereas older Arizonans at risk of falling need fall prevention programs that can teach them specific everyday strategies to improve mobility, stability, and reduce fall risk. I'll go back to this one. Therefore, I, Martin Porcia, Chairman of the Yuma County Board of Supervisors, proclaim the month of September 2024 to be Fall Prevention Awareness Month in Yuma County, and urge all older adults, family members, caregivers, healthcare providers, regional medical centers, fire departments, first responders, law enforcement, and community partners to join the Western Arizona Council of Governments Area Agency on Aging in routinely assessing older adults, including veterans and those with disabilities, to reduce fall risk. I'm herein to set my hand and fix the official seal of the Board of Supervisors. This is done at the Yuma County seat this 16th day of September 2024. Is there anyone here to pick up this proclamation? Oh, there she is.
Yes.
She left me a yellow. I noticed you started with me first, but I'm not sure that.
Good morning, Carol Brown from WACOG Area Agency on Aging. I know I come here frequently to talk about really serious topics for our older adults, but honestly, falls is extremely serious. As was read in the proclamation, falls don't have to happen just because we age. And falls, unfortunately, is a category where older adults are very afraid to admit that it's happened. They're afraid it's going to remove their independence, that family will worry to such a level that they won't want them to stay in their own home any longer. And so they keep it a secret. And the best thing that we can do is help folks know it's okay to admit they've had a fall, to see their doctor, to get their family or friends or neighbors involved. And there's lots of very simple steps that can be taken to help prevent a fall. As simple as declutter your home. Make sure you have proper lighting. Get rid of those throw rugs. Oh my gosh, I know that people love their rugs, but that's a simple way to remove the danger of falls. Watch out for those fur babies getting under your feet. And if you need added assistance, make sure you're reaching out to the Area Agency on Aging to ask questions. We have health and wellness programs that we provide that deal with balance and strengthening and help people to learn what they can do to prevent a fall. And we do special events. I provide education anytime, anywhere someone wants to have that. We are excited to have 2 events going on in September, one on the 23rd and one on the 25th, to talk about falls prevention and to gather community partners. That was a really long list that you read off regarding who should be involved. And I included all of them because every single one of those entities needs to be involved in falls prevention. I promise you, if you talk to EMS, you talk to the fire department, the one thing that they would like to see changed is people falling needlessly, because typically they are the ones that get called to do the lift assist.
And a reminder, do not put ladders near old people.
That's right. That's how you hurt yourself.
So are we taking away your ladder?
Oh, they put one up there for some reason. And one.
What you want to do is make sure you have somebody in your circle of friends and family that will take care of it for you. That way you don't have to do it. But I appreciate you recognizing September as Falls Prevention Awareness Month. I share this every time, but September 22nd is the actual day for National Falls Prevention Awareness. Does anyone know why?
Christmas lights?
After the,
It's the first day of fall.
Oh.
First day of fall.
Honestly,
Thank you, thank you, Carol. Well,
Don't have to fall.
That's good. Darren, no, that's Halloween lights.
That was bad first day.
Yeah, definitely, yes.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
I thought she was setting us up for something.
hold on.
Easy. Tony, grab the side rail.
Hey, this is the one that keep me from falling off the
I know.
podium.
I just had 2 guardrails installed now.
Moving on to item number 3, we'll move on to presentation of El Condado Informado by Yuma 77, Yuma County Government Channel.
Bienvenidos al Condado Informado. El día de hoy estoy en el Departamento de Vivienda Pública dentro del edificio comunitario. Y el día de hoy tengo a Rocío. Rocío, ¿qué tal? ¿Cómo estás?
Hola, muy bien. ¿Y tú?
Muy bien. Ok, Rocío. Ahora, estos servicios que tenemos aquí dentro de este departamento son para nuestra comunidad. Dime, explícame un poquito cómo le hace nuestra familia, nuestros amigos, mi tía, para agarrar estos servicios.
Ok, las personas pueden venir a aplicar aquí a la oficina. La oficina está abierta de lunes a viernes de 8 a 5 y también pueden aplicar por el internet.
Okay.
Pueden aplicar todas las familias que sean de bajos ingresos.
Ok, de bajos ingresos. Entonces aquí la familia puede venir, llena la aplicación y ustedes hacen esas determinaciones.
Sí, tenemos una lista de espera. La lista de espera es como de año a año y medio.
Okay.
Una vez que ya llegan al tope de la lista de espera, se les habla para una entrevista y ahí determinamos si la familia califica.
Muy bien. Ahora, ¿qué tipo de servicios o qué tipo de programa y recursos hay aquí para esas familias que ya por fin llegan a arriba de la espera?
Ofrecemos 3 programas. Uno es el programa de la vivienda pública. En ese programa tenemos 3 proyectos. El proyecto que está aquí en los apartamentos de Valley Vista en Somerton. Hay otro que está en Yuma, son los Picancharos apartamentos. Y el otro está en San Luis, Arizona, que son los Moctezuma. El otro programa es la sección 8, cuando la familia ya, una vez que llega a la lista de espera, como lo mencionamos, la familia se le entrega un vale para que la familia pueda buscar vivienda. Y una vez que ya participan en esos 2 programas, podemos ofrecer el programa de autosuficiencia familiar.
Entonces eso significa que yo puedo estar viviendo aquí con mi trabajadora social, yo voy a decir, no, pues un día yo quiero tener una casa, ¿verdad? Y ya... ¿Me pueden ustedes ayudar con ese tipo de meta o cómo?
Sí, esa es una de las metas, llegar a ser la dueña de una casa y se te prepara con educación, con trabajo y con asesoría financiera.
No, pues qué bien, verdaderamente. Y dices que tiene que uno aplicar, así es que ahí lo tienen, gente del condado de Yuma. Si usted tiene una meta, vengan y apliquen, que siempre es bueno saber, es mejor. No se quede con la duda, venga y aplique y pregunte por estos servicios que son tan importantes. Rocío, muchas gracias por toda esta información y nos vemos hasta la próxima.
That's good.
Thank you, Arlene. We'll go ahead and move on to consent calendar. The following items listed under the consent agenda will be considered as a group of and acted upon by one motion with no separate discussion unless a board member so requests. In that event, the item will be removed from the consent calendar for separate discussion and action.
Mr. Chairman,
Do we have items 1 to 13?
I'd like to make a motion, we approve all items, and I'd like to declare my conflict of interest, remote conflict of interest on item number 5, but it's all items, but I have a conflict of interest on item number 5.
I'll second.
Okay. There's a motion and a second to approve all items 1 to 13, with 5, Mr. Reyes having a conflict of interest. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
I declare my conflict of interest, yeah.
We move on to discussion and action items. The board will open each of the following items separately and for discussion and action as appropriate. And we'll do item number 1, discussion and possible action regarding the intergovernmental agreement, IGA, between Yuma County Recorder and the Yuma County
Bye,
Board of
guys.
Supervisors, combining the offices of the Recorder and Election Services. And you want to just a few words, or I can?
Sure, yeah, Mr. Chairman, I could just give a very brief history. Roughly 5 years ago, the Board of Supervisors entered into an intergovernmental agreement with the Yuma County Recorder's Office to combine the offices of Recorder and Election Services to better integrate those two offices and their functions. The IGA was automatically extended for a term in December of 2022, and it's coming up for expiration again this December. If no action is taken, the IGA automatically extends for another 2-year term. The IGA also created an Elections Advisory Committee to provide input on elections operations. And at its most recent meeting, the EAC, the Elections Advisory Committee, did discuss this agreement, and that discussion led to this item being on the agenda today for board discussion.
Thank you, Ian. And I just want to say, there's two of us from the board that sit on that committee with the Recorder, Elections, and the attorney, and Ian, our county administrator. The Recorder started this, like Ian said, 5 years ago. We're bringing it back. There has been so many legislations bills that have come up throughout the last 3 years, I believe, or 4, maybe longer. But I think we feel that we need to bring it back and get up to date with those legislation bills, and see, in the future we can take it back to the Recorder if the Recorder is willing to accept it back into their. So
I read the recommended motion, but it sounds more like a postponement than a motion. It says discussion and possible action regarding the intergovernmental agreement between Yuma County Recorders, which is what we're talking about. But if you want to renew it, do you have to post it again? Or?
We want to,
No.
You don't want to renew it?
We want to bring it back to be under Ian and under us too,
elections would be under
What it
us.
used to be?
Yeah, the way it
Election
used
would
to
be
be.
under administration.
until we catch up with all the legislation.
Get everything caught up, and we're also looking at, new Recorder that's going to be going in there. When
You want to put them under your.
Mr. Caldwell came in, he had Robin to kind of help him, work through it, and, just give mainly the new Recorder time to get his feet wet, understand the job, and then we can, revisit it later once we get everything caught up and we know everything's
We
good.
can look at it
You
again.
want to continue it at the end of this election and then quit it? You want to quit right now and redo it?
60 days.
At 60 days from today.
Mhm.
So 60 days from today, that agreement would cease. It says, then it will be back to the administrator being overseeing all the departments.
Yes.
If the board so chooses, right? If the board takes no action, it automatically renews for another 2 years.
Wow. Okay, what is the pleasure of the board?
I would like to move.
Bring it back. Go ahead, make a motion.
Can I make the motion?
Yes.
I'd like to move that the elections department be brought back under the county administration department. Is that
60 days
correct?
from now?
Chairman, the motion would be something to the effect of to terminate the IGA at 60 days.
Okay. Terminate the IGA with the recorder's office.
Effective 60 days from now.
Yeah, effective 60 days from now.
Let me make that clear. Maybe we ought to leave the date certain to a date certain. Some of those elections can drag on for another 2 weeks, 3 weeks.
At a future date.
At a future date?
Yeah.
Well, you're still talking
Days. It
about a
says-
month and a half
Huh?
after elections.
Oh, yeah.
Mr. Chairman, if I might, the IGA is scheduled to expire, it would automatically renew on December 15th, but the board could choose to just let it expire. on
Why don't we just
December
simply let it
15th?
expire December the 5th? You know, the new
But
recorder will
if
be.
we don't take
Well, that's what I
action,
mean, right now.
If you want to just let it expire, then you have to affirmatively move to not renew the IGA.
That's right.
That's probably more in line. So
That's
the
right.
idea is not to renew the IGA December the 5th.
Yes.
On termination.
Upon termination.
The IGA date.
And return it, well, that would automatically return
That
it
would
to.
automatically happen. You don't need to put it in your.
So my motion, if you accept it, is to not renew the IGA between us and the county recorders and the electric department, and return it back to the control of the administrator.
That's good. Okay, you move, I'll second.
I did.
Tony moved it, I seconded. Okay.
all right, there's a motion and a second to terminate the IGA between the county recorder and Yuma County Board of Supervisors. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Move this next item, be moved to the next meeting. I'm just kidding. Are you carrying a gun?
Item number 2, discussion and action to set the salary of Constable Justice Precinct number 1 at no less than 55 or more than 75 in accordance with ARS State Statute 11-424.01, retroactive to October 30, 2023.
Good morning, Chairman Porches, members of the board, Lucia Gomez with Budget Manager with the Office of Management and Budget. Mr. Gradius reached out to our office, letting us know there was an amendment to the statute for constable salaries. We've contacted the county attorney's office, and they determined that Mr. Gradius is entitled to a salary no less than $55,000 or more than $75,000. It is retroactive to October 2023 based on the amendment, and the actual amount should be determined through negotiation between the constable and the board, and Mr. Gradius is here available for that. His current salary is set at $52,000 currently.
Well, thank you. Not always the things that I want to do. These are not places where I want to be. But because I was actually under the minimum, how this came about, well, I'll just explain really quickly. In June 2023, Arizona Governor Hobbs signed Senate Bill 1307, which increased the Arizona Constable's pay throughout the state, with the effective date being scheduled for October 30th, 2023. This past August, the topic of salaries came up in our annual Arizona Constables Association meetings through another organization, through another constable. I was not part of that. The ACA addressed the question, stating that legislation had also been rewritten that would allow raises to be awarded at midterm. That opinion was shared. The opinion from the Maricopa County Attorney's Office was shared and made available. I brought a copy of that back to Bill Kirkus with Yuma County's attorneys, Yuma County Attorney, which he looked at that and said, I may have a case, a reward and an award to this. So my request now is I'm here to request my salary to be raised from $52,000 a year to $62,000 with these ongoing reasons. Guys, I've been in law enforcement for 37 years. I come here with a long, distinguished. I say distinguished. I was at least honorable in my profession. I was maintained, I had 20 years retired from the Newman Police Department. I have maintained my full Arizona Pulse certification throughout that time, including the 15 years I served as deputy constable, 8 of those years as chief deputy. I've maintained my certification through my appointment as constable in August of 2022 and have maintained throughout to present. I was elected in November of 2022, and I've been serving as the elected constable since January 2023. The amount of that is processed through our agency, our office, is well over 1,000 documents per year. We are a busy constable office. HR conducted a short market study finding the constables with similar populations ranging from 57,000 to the brand new no experience constable to 67,000 to the constables who have have completed entire term. With those numbers, I went kind of through the middle with the help of human resources, with the meetings with the county constable or the county attorney, with meetings with Lucia, and we came up to the point where it seemed that 62,000 would be an area in which I would be very, very considered. That's my spiel. That's my request.
Ian, how many constables do we have?
Mr. Chairman, we have 2 constables,
Just
JP1 and JP2.
And is it the same salary each one, or I thought that was by state statute?
They are not. I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman. No, they are not the same, and I don't want to put you on the spot, but perhaps our human resource director could shed more light
Jessica,
on that.
please.
A couple of questions before you get into that. Now, your precinct has more than 16,000 people.
I'm sorry?
No, it's not the residents of the precinct that matter. I mean, South County's got a lot of people, but not enough voters. So the question here refers to registered voters. Does your precinct have more than 16 registered voters? 16,000 registered voters.
Do we have more than yes? We are the top. We are part of that top.
And you were not appointed this term. You were elected.
I was appointed, and then I subsequently was elected in 2022.
So you're an elected official.
I'm an elected
so
official.
that determination, you weren't appointed to fill a vacancy. You were elected.
Sorry,
you weren't appointed to fill a vacancy. You were elected for that.
For this
Oh,
position,
yes,
yes.
Right. And this has been checked by legal, right?
Yeah, but it was the legislation that was also, the wording in the legislation was also changed to allow the Board of Supervisors to make adjustments at midterm.
Yeah, all right. Okay, gotcha.
Chairman Porteous, members of the board, to answer your question, the constable's salary is the only elected official salary that is actually set by the board. And it can be set, just as the statute says, between $55,000 and $75,000.
Now, was that when we recently just did our
Salary increases?
salary, was that looked into?
No. Elected officials were not included in the compensation study.
That was in that legislation 2
Yeah.
years ago.
But I think, because we don't, I mean, I don't think any elected official sets their own salary. It's by state.
Correct.
But if we do theirs, I mean, I think it should have been looked. Because, I mean, that's, we
Prepared
said everybody
across.
compared to everybody else, because I think that should have been taken into consideration, because if we set that salary.
It needs to be
So,
comparable.
Chairman Porteous, I believe, and I can defer to Mr. Kirkus, however, there are only specific times that we are able, or that the board is able to adjust the salary of the constable. We are able to bring this in front of you today because of the change in legislation that occurred effective October 30th. If that legislation had not occurred, we would not be able to negotiate, or he would not be able to negotiate his salary with you today. We're only able to do it because of that update. So he would not have even been eligible to move the salary within the compensation study per the statute.
Yeah, and that was last year, and then that salary compensation or study was done in 23, huh?
October of 2020, or I'm sorry, no, March of 2024.
Oh,
Mr. Chairman.
so
Yes.
it
It was effective March 3rd.
if it was of 2024, huh?
And
Mr. Chairman?
Question.
Go ahead, Ian.
Preliminarily, I think under the initial review by the county attorney's office, it was determined, and correct me if I'm wrong, that it was not eligible for increase. So it was only recently that we discovered that after the case that Art did mention, that under further review was determined that yes, we can adjust the salary.
Mr. Chairman, Jessica, caseload wise between JP1 and JP2, are they about the same? And then how do we pay them comparatively?
There, that's my question.
Chairman Porteous, Vice Chair Lyons, thank you for your question. We did try to research the productivity out of Justice Precinct 2, and we're unable to find those exact results. However, Mr. Gordias did provide documentation that shows that he serves well over 1,000 documents a year, and I could let him speak to perhaps he has a better understanding of the productivity out of Justice Precinct 2.
That's like 3 or more a day, right? I mean, that's a lot of
Yeah,
work.
they're very busy, and I would say that it's safe to say that they're extremely much busier than JP2.
I will say that, you know, in answer to Mr. Reyes's,
You're welcome.
Mr. Reyes's question, that as far as the paperwork that is awarded for not only the number of registered voters, but the amount of process, the amount of process is 100 papers per year is what they would go by. We're at over 1,000 pieces of process per year. We're 10 times that award. We are busy. I will tell you, and I'm not. I will tell you that the situations are getting a little bit more and more hairy as well. We have an area where we are. We had, I believe, within the past 6 months, we were looking at 104 writs of restitution. That means forcibly removing someone from. When I say forcibly, it's not dragging them out, but we are there and we are removing people from their homes. There are more and more cases in which there is some feedback, there is some blowback. I am fortunate that again that we are fortunate as a county that both my deputy Pete Arroyo and myself are retired law enforcement, and we are both AZ Post certified police officers. We do have a very, very good relationship with both the Yuma Police Department and the Yuma County Sheriff's Office. They are there when it goes from a civil process to a criminal process, a trespass issue. They have been nothing more than upstanding and outstanding in their help with us if we need them. They are a phone call away.
And just, Mr. Chairman, too, and if I'm not mistaken, you're not required to have that post certification as a constable.
I am not. No, I am not.
So-
There is, as a constable, there is a limited AZ post certification, and let me explain. Because so many things, and this is one of the subjects of almost contempt when it gets into the ACA boards. Being fully certified does not give me the authority to make a traffic stop. It is not within the guidelines of my position. So the area in which I am protected is the areas in which is within the scope of my position, which would be a disorderly conduct situation, which would be a trespass situation. I'm not going out making traffic stops. That's not my job. That's not my lane. However, by fully maintaining my AZ post certification, if I were to seek employment or seek an area which I was going to be a reserve someplace, I would have full certification under their umbrella. That makes sense?
Yeah, I would just point it out because it is quite a bit extra work to maintain that certification.
I still have to maintain my classes, and the neat thing about this, and one of the things that I do maintain my AZ Post classes, but I've also, because of the position, have taken advantage of the county's supervisory training as well. Those are the things that allow me to kind of continue doing what I need to do on the best way I can.
As a follow-up to what the chairman said, when I read this at the regular meeting of several board of supervisors preceding a general election, the board shall fix the salaries constable to be elected for a 4-year period commencing the first day of the following January, which I think is what I thought we would do. Like, you in a meeting in June when we set the agenda with the budget, we set the salary for the next elected constable because it's the only one we set. I was a little surprised that there wasn't any discussion about back pay or anything like that. You just want to adjust your salary from this point on, or from that point on.
From October, from the time of the legislation.
I know. It's supposed to be done in June for the one, but it's supposed to be effective January the 1st. That makes sense. So the legal is telling us we set the salary at any time as long as they meet certain requirements. At least that's what I get right now. And the way I read this legislation, it was, okay, in the meeting of June, which is when we set normally the agenda for the rest of the year, you set the salary for the next 4 years, beginning January the 1st. That's what I thought we'd do. If we're allowed to do that, if we're allowed to change it in the middle of the term, or in the third, 2/3, or the end of the term, like we're doing right now, is that okay?
Mr. Chairman, Supervisor Reyes, yes. The sole purpose we're here today is because of the amendment of the statute. Once you address this issue, you'll go back to follow the statutory language. Prior to the next election for the constable, the June before the election, you will set the constable's salary going forward. This is just an anomaly because the statute was amended. The provision you're referencing where you set it in June, that only references the June prior to the election for the constable going forward.
Well, that's what I thought you were referring to. I mean, the chairman was referring to when he said, okay, we set the salary, but didn't we do that in June? In other words, didn't we put that? And the answer was no, I guess we didn't. So then my next question was, okay, so we set it for the next pay period. You're not concerned about the fact that we didn't set it before. You just simply wanted.
Again, this information was just newly brought to my attention in the August meetings that I had, in which this was a discussion point for other constables. I will tell you that Maricopa and the other several other constables associations and counties have already they made their pay increases in October of 2023.
Yes.
And when they were able to bring forth the opinion, I brought that to Bill and asked if there was something that was able to work on this, because I was told at the ACA that there was.
All right.
So hang on.
Go ahead, Tom.
So every election cycle for the constables, do we set the salaries? That's when we can set the salaries?
That's correct, Mr. Chairman. Yes, the June before the election, for the upcoming election, general election for the constable, you will then set the salary for that constable who is going to be elected at the next election.
At the next election, okay. So
the only reason I even brought this up is because it is the anomaly and the fact that I was paid below statute.
So, and just to follow on, and I don't know if Ian, if you can answer, but maybe Jessica, have we ever? I mean, I've been here for I'm almost on my end of the second term, but I don't recall, because that one falls in the middle of when the governor is up for election, that's when it falls.
Odd year, yeah.
Chairman Porteous, members of the board, typically those requests are done through the regular budget cycle. When Mr. Nozar was the constable for JP1, it was just included within his personnel request through the budget cycle. So you didn't see it like this. It is just, as Mr. Kirkus said, it is an anomaly that we're up here standing here doing this. Typically, it is just wrapped up in their budget requests.
And do they get the same raise everybody gets, or how is that?
It's what they request. So it is set aside, it's set by the board, and it is not a part of our salary structure.
But not more than 75,000.
Correct.
No less than 55.
So if we wanted to set like, okay, we got two constables, we say, okay, we're gonna do, let's say we move forward with what Mr. Art's presenting. Then say, okay, next election, we want both of them to make the same, just per se. So we need to move that when in this June, coming up June?
June of 2025, in preparation for a
For
term
the
starting.
2026 election.
Correct.
Yeah,
Correct.
okay, that was.
Of course, seek clarity now.
And
What,
2026, effective 2027. Thank you.
When they, yes.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
January
too,
of 2027.
question to Jessica on this. What does JP2 make now, the constable?
So Constable 2's salary is currently just under $57,000.
Okay, so he fits within the 55.
And I would like to add, and Art didn't mention himself, is that he also supervises a staff of 3. So in addition to the volume of documents coming out of his office, he also has to supervise staff, which is different than Justice Precinct 2.
And Mr. Chairman, I do have data on JP2's Constable Torres, his volume. It's roughly, on average, 80 to 90 cases a month, just so you know.
So it's slightly below, but still
up there.
a lot. Still far more than the 100.
And he doesn't have anybody here.
He has no staff.
No staff.
Correct.
And you
Justice
got-
Precinct 2 has no staff.
And Mr., you have how many staff? 3?
He has 3 that directly report. He has the chief deputy and 2 administrative personnel.
Okay. All right.
And in our last budget, they weren't made, we made no concessions for them.
Correct. Correct.
And where is the money gonna come from? Do we have a little bit of leeway there?
Yeah, right. This increase was not anticipated in the budget, so it would come from non-departmental set aside for the current budget year.
So you want 62,000 plus benefit?
Yes.
No, it's fine.
No, I, to be quite honest, I think that's fair.
I think the issue that sticks to my mind is that you're not asking for back pay. When I guess what's done is done, so you're asking it to be effective beginning the next payroll.
No, this is.
No,
with-
it'd be
this is
retroactive
to
to-
October 23.
October 30th, yeah.
From October
Retroactive
2023.
to October 30th, 2023.
No.
Want me to make the motion?
It's okay.
Bueno,
I can do
sí,
it.
casi lo hace.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make the motion that we approve it at 65 because they were not part of the last budget.
No, wait.
I know he asked for 62, but we could go to 75, and that would be within the range of the raises that we just gave the rest of the county.
Yes.
I remind you that this is retroactive.
I understand.
So we're gonna have to pay the difference between 55 and 65 if we approve yours. Your motion. He's asking for 62. Let's give him 62 and then look at it as a budget.
As a budgetary for the next.
Yeah, you'll be looking forward.
I'll be fine with that.
Okay, you're fine
As
with
long
that?
as we're reminded by personnel
Don't forget to
that
remind
that
us.
is separate,
Yes, please.
because that's.
We will go back to a normal request at that period of time.
Yes, yes.
Again, this is simply an anomaly. This is just something that's been brought up
I'll
to my
withdraw my
attention.
motion. Go ahead, Tony.
The motion would be to give him a $62,000 a year beginning the next pay period with retroactive, or make it retroactive to October 9th.
October 30th,
October 30th,
2023.
2023.
And that we do this as a budgetary item next year, making sure that if we're going to increase your salary, we increase it.
Yes, sir.
I'll second it.
That's my motion.
Okay, there's a motion and a second to approve as presented, which it says here to 62 and retroactive October 30, 2023. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks.
My brother's gone with him, just in case. Agreed to.
Okay.
Moving to discussion regarding legislative issues. Alejandro?
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Alejandro Figueroa, Economic Development and Intergovernmental Affairs for Yuma
Good
County.
morning, Alejandro.
Morning, ma'am. So I'll start with the state. There we go. A little bit blurry today. So 259 laws went into effect last Saturday, September 14, which was the general effective date for the 2024 regular session of the Arizona Legislature. Bills go into effect 90 days after the close of the session. So here are 4 bills, key bills from the 2024 chapter laws that will likely have or affect Yuma County. Chapter 16 laws 2024, HB 2016, grandfather right, subsequent AMA extension. This bill affects groundwater management by requiring individuals claiming a grandfather right to withdraw groundwater in the Douglas Active Management Area to file an application with the Arizona Department of Water Resources. Also, Chapter 18, laws 2024, HB 2042, food preparation, sale, cottage food. This law introduces new regulations for cottage food products, including labeling and handler requirements. It impacts local food entrepreneurs in Yuma County by creating more compliance hurdles, but also offers opportunities for expanding home-based food businesses and under clearer regulations. Chapter 62, laws 2024, HB 2055, underground water storage permitting. This legislation increases the timeline for reviewing underground water storage applications. And given Yuma's reliance on water storage and management for agriculture, this may or could potentially impact future water storage projects and timelines for approval. Lastly, Chapter 64, laws 2024, HB 2146, mobile homes, cooling prohibition. This bill prohibits mobile home park owners from preventing tenants from installing cooling methods. Yuma, known for extreme heat, will benefit from the legislation, especially its mobile home residents who often face challenges in cooling their homes. Moving on, Governor Hobbs, as you know, encountered legal challenges for allowing deputy directors to run 13 state agencies without Senate approval, bypassing formal nomination process. In June 2024, Maricopa County Superior Court Judge Blaney ruled that this move violated legal protocols by creating de facto directors. In response, Governor Hobbs and Senate President Peterson reached an agreement on August 2024, which was initially rejected by Judge Blaney for attempting to override his ruling. A revised agreement was later approved, establishing a formal process for future nominations. The agreement requires the governor to submit agency director nominations to the Senate by January 2025, giving the Senate 1 year to approve or reject them. If the nominations are not confirmed within that time, the governor must appoint new candidates who also need Senate approval. Despite disagreeing with the ruling and the Senate's interpretation, Governor Hobbs accepted the agreement to ensure stability in state agencies lacking formal leadership. A request for review by the Arizona Court of Appeals was denied, but the governor's office highlighted the importance of securing continued services for veterans, small businesses, and working families. Lastly, Senator Jake Hoffman, head of the Senate Nominations Committee, stated that nominees will be closely scrutinized with particular attention to their ideological views due to the significant influence on the operation of state agencies. The new framework for agency director nominations could significantly impact Yuma County in several ways, since many state agencies directly impact services in Yuma, including those related to agriculture, transportation, public health, and education. Any delay in confirming leadership might impact local government coordination with state agencies, potentially stalling important county initiatives or programs. Moving on to the federal side, Arizona Senator Kristen Sinema played a key role in advancing a significant project for the city of Yuma in the U.S. Senate Appropriations Committee. The committee responsible for allocating federal funds passed appropriations bills with bipartisan support. Of particular interest to Yuma is $398,000 earmarked for the restoration of the historic Yuma City Hall. This project, which is part of the Save America's Treasures initiative, will restore the 103-year-old building exterior facade, replace its windows and front entry door, improve energy efficiency, and return the landmark to its original historic appearance. On the international front, Mexico, as you know, celebrates today its 214th independence celebration. And San Luis Colorado has a new mayor sworn in. Cesar Ivan Sandoval was sworn in today at 12:01 a.m. Now moving on to what's on the slide. The 1944 Water Sharing Treaty between the United States and Mexico, which governs the distribution of water from the Rio Grande and Colorado rivers, is facing one of its most significant challenges. Mexico is currently 265 billion gallons behind its water deliveries to the U.S., raising concerns about the future of this critical water sharing agreement. Factors such as population growth, aging infrastructure, and waterways have worsened the situation, with both countries feeling the strain. The current treaty cycle, which ends in 2025, may not provide enough time for Mexico to catch up. While U.S. lawmakers, particularly from Texas, have called for withholding aid to Mexico until water deliveries resume, Mexico is prioritizing its domestic water needs, with Mexican President López Obrador emphasizing the importance of water for residents over companies. However, ending the treaty, as some Mexican farmers have proposed, could be disastrous for both nations. The treaty allows Mexico to carry over its water debt for the next cycle, but it cannot accrue shortfalls for 2 consecutive 5-year periods, putting immense pressure on both countries to find a solution. Mr. Chairman, that would conclude my presentation to the board today.
Any questions for?
Yeah. What do you feel about the treaty? What are your thoughts? Have you had any conversations with the council or anybody else?
We have not yet established any conversation on this issue. We're waiting for the new president to take office and hopefully appoint a new Zagarpa secretary, so we can have some conversations with them or her at the time.
Okay.
Question on the new port of entry that's being built in San Luis, Arizona. Are there been any assurances from the Mexican side that they will do their part so that it doesn't have, like a bridge to nowhere?
Mr. Chairman, Supervisor Reyes, the letter that the board drafted a couple of weeks ago was hand-delivered to the governor and to the chief of the North America division for Mexico's Foreign Affairs Ministry. And their response is that they're going to be in time. It's going to take them 18 months to conclude their construction. So they pretty much told us not to worry about it, that they will give us the coordinates for the southbound crossing point in time.
All right, we won't worry about it. But the latest was that they'd use the money for something else and that they would have to replenish it of the budget later on, which is code for we don't know when.
Mr. Chairman, Supervisor Reyes, it seems that there's going to be some consistency in the Foreign Affairs Ministry, so we're hoping that the folks who we talked to last week will remain in office.
All right. No more questions.
All right. Thank you, Alejandro. Current events.
Okay, I'll start.
Supervisor Frank Grigsby.
I attended the MCIS Colonel Summit. I attended the Yuma County ribbon cutting for the new commercial building out at the Yuma County Fairgrounds. I attended the Southwest Gas Emergency Responders Training and met with constituents. That's it.
Mr. Chairman, I participated with Lynn, the dedication of the new Legacy Fair building. We had received those funds through Governor Ducey and Arizona DEMA in an effort to preserve the clear zone over the approach to MCS Yuma, and the Marines are extremely happy that we've made that progress. Also participated in the National Day of Service with a bunch of youth down at the Sanguinetti House, where we cleaned up. Had several phone calls and emails regarding illegal dumping in the trash, and then met with, had several phone calls and emails with water users regarding a grant that they will present to the to the county, looking forward, which would allow them to pump some water and get some credits. I'll have a further follow-up with them this week. We've got about 8 pumps in the valley that are not operating right now, and the valley seems to be floating. So we've got a way to mediate some of the challenges with water regarding their application to WIFA. I know somebody that works there.
Yeah.
Is he a nice guy?
He tries.
Mr. Simmons?
Had a meeting with the Mohawk School Superintendent, referenced some issues they're having out there. Attended a community meeting at Antelope, where the new superintendent was meeting with the community, trying to get their input on directions for the school and problems that they may be having. Attended a land use change, also out in the East County area, reference to a new truck stop that they possibly could be looking at putting in Tacna. Multiple BOS meetings.
Yeah.
And met with many constituents, reference to zoning changes that are going to be coming before the board here in the next 30 to 60 days.
Today is September 16th, which is like Mexico's Independence Day. It's like the 4th of July in Mexico. That's why all the green, white, and red. I attended their events. They had,
Oh, good.
Yeah, they had it on September the 12th, which is a Friday, but it was very
13th.
entertaining. The 13th. Friday the 13th, that's why. I also attended a Vision Group meeting, which is a group of mostly trade-related, mostly logistic-related issues on any port of entry, where we always have the presence of the board director, which is how you more or less hear their side of things. I still believe that we have issues with staffing issues that are going to be present that need to be addressed relatively soon because they don't get people to hire it and put them in the front line like in a week or two. They need to be trained, they need to go to school, they need to do a lot of stuff. So I like to put that up in the front of our agendas in terms of when we go to Washington or when we talk to our lobbies. They need to address that issue pretty quickly. They need 200 more employees to be able to handle 16 lanes. There'll be nothing really that comes out of all these improvements if you don't have the staff to manage them. We also need to remind everybody that cares that USDA needs to have an entomologist on site. That's been an issue for a while and it's still an issue. And I'd like to remind everybody, October the 7th, which is a board meeting day, but it's also the beginning of our CSA legislative meeting in Pinal County, I think. So everybody needs to make arrangements to leave after the board meeting or something like that. Okay, that should do it.
Attended the GYDC meeting on last Thursday. Also attended the celebration of independence, Mexican independence with the Mexican consul, and all the meetings that we've been having. And just a reminder for next following meeting on the 7th, we have that tour across on the building at 8.
Yes, sir.
Bring your hard hats. Well,
I already have
Mr. Reyes already has one.
Summer built
I got my hard hat on all the time.
So that's it. Ian?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We had our executive leadership team training led by our amazing in-house HR training supervisor, Nayeli Flores, who did a fantastic job. We had a quarterly administration staff meeting. I attended the 99th drug court graduation, attended the last 15 minutes or so of the local workforce development board meeting, Parks and Recreation Advisory Commission meeting, the GYDC Board of Directors meeting, along with you, Chairman Porteous, and ACIP, Arizona County Insurance Pool Board of Directors meeting. And as Supervisor Simmons mentioned, there's been a plethora of special sessions, and just wanted to tip the hat to our clerk and the agenda team for handling all the multiple agendas and scheduling and notices. And also thanks to the County Attorney's Office for keeping us on our toes. So that's it.
That's right. I love that. Thank you.
Thank you. Meeting adjourned.